Hello again, cheeky monkeys, and welcome to a very special episode of Nerd of the Third Power, your one-stop shop for all things nerdy and awesome. I'm your host and master of ceremonies, Dr. Gonzo. With me, as always, in this epic quest of awesomeness is our resident anime goddess, the one, the only, the beautiful, the cat. Cat, how you doing?
I'm alright. Yeah, just alright.
Okay, and Bryan, you are with us as well, and dude, you look like death on toast.
I've never actually seen what Death on Toast looks like, but I guess it looks like me. Yeah, I was a little bit busy in the last couple of weeks and this week, but things will look up eventually.
Okay, all right. Well, we got a very special episode today. We decided to do something kind of new. We've always, done Ask a Geek, and we've always really liked it. But this episode, we decided to ask you guys your opinions, and you guys have sent in a lot of answers. Wow, many answers. So we've gone through and picked some of the ones that we like, and we're gonna go over them today in the show. And yeah, we're gonna find out what you guys like and think. So yeah, because that though we're kind of doing things a little bit differently. So we're going to be doing Ask a Geek as the main segment of the show. So we're just going to jump right into our headlines, starting with Bryan. So Bryan, take it away.
Well, thank you. The top story in the multiverse headlines is something that's actually overshadowed a lot of the news that came out of C2E2 that I will get to in a little bit. Here, though, is the continuation of the Amazon purchase of Comixology in the next round of Fallout. Comixology has since retired its iOS app used for the Apple products and replaced it with a new one, which turns out to be a read-only application. You can still read and download your comics to your iPhones or iPads, but you can now no longer do in-app purchases of the comics themselves. You are required to go to their website using whatever web browser you have on your tablet and purchase there, and then you can download it to that app to read. This does seem to add a few steps to an otherwise smooth system. The reason for this goes deeper in the relationship between Amazon and Apple, which is murky at best. Apple, for the most part, has a deal in place that if there's in-app purchases, they will take a 30% cut on the money that comes in. Amazon didn't like this, is why you don't have any in-app purchases for items like their Kindle app, which you can get from the iPhone and iPad. Now, in control of Comixology, they're doing to that with them as well, taking out the in-app purchasing. Now, over the course of doing this, web purchases only, there is more money theoretically going back to the publishers and creators, which is a small silver lining. The 30% cut is no longer there. Not sure how much the cut for Amazon is, though, to be quite honest, but since they're now one company, you imagine it wouldn't be the same amount. There is no idea, however, if there will be a new system in place for later and in-app purchasing, or if that will ever come to the iPad or iPhone. It may just come to Amazon's Kindle. News was sudden and leaving a lot of people unhappy about the change, going so far as to leave massive one-star reviews on the app. I, for one, have normally used the website to buy my comics before downloading or reading them. So for me, the change is mute. For others, I can see having the push button age come to a sudden end like that kind of leaves them in justified anger. Now, I have been instructed to give out this news since there's so few of us here today. We all sort of knew this was coming, dealing with Star Wars. No, it's not the casting announcement, that's more John's territory. But this has something to do with the EU. Not too long ago, we heard that there was going to be a story group put together to try to figure out what is in fact canon and not canon for the Star Wars extended universe. Well, the time came and we finally figured out the answer. It seems like anything that happens after the Return of the Jedi in books, games, anything like that is sort of wiped clean. There's a chance some of the storylines will come into play, but only if they're specifically now mentioned in the new upcoming books, movies, etc. Anything beyond this new point is pretty much out and gone and considered non-canon. Now, this doesn't mean the stories don't really exist or are not really there. They're still there for everyone to enjoy, but they are no longer connected to the Star Wars universe as a whole. What does this mean exactly? Well, there's a lot of characters that we hope to see soon, maybe get reintroduced, we don't know yet. Chewbacca's now alive again, because you remember he did die. Spoilers, I'm sorry if you didn't know that. But that's sort of it. As I mentioned before, this story is probably going to only end in tears when that happened. Hopefully not too many people are upset. We'll have to see exactly where this goes as time goes on. With the casting announced, we are going to get Star Wars Episode 7 pretty soon, and I'm pretty sure by the time this podcast comes out, we're going to have a lot more information to go. Moving on to actual C2E2 news. Dark Horse is getting ready to relaunch their Dark Horse Presents book, and they're starting with the return of Frank Miller's Big Guy and Rusty. Some may remember the series on its short run of Fox Saturday Morning in the 90s. Frank Miller at one time, yes, had a cartoon in the 90s. Also, Dark Horse has lined up 13 different creative teams for the book. We only know that Big Guy and Rusty is the starting series. We will know what comes later in future solicitations. Marvel used their time at C2E2 to add to their event this year, Original Sin, this time in the form of a Thor tie-in series. This one is starring Thor and Loki, called The 10th Realm, where Neil Gaiman's character Angelina is going to be revealed as Thor's half-sister. Now, to add a little bit to the confusion of this miniseries, it's actually going to be numbered as Original Sin 5.1 through 5.5. So when you're looking for it, look for those numbers and possible title of The 10th Realm that comes out in July. For Spider-Man, it seems like things were getting back to normal until his Original Sin, where we discover Silk, the second person to be bitten by the same radioactive spider that gave Peters his powers. This story looks to start in Amazing Spider-Man number 4. And you also may have heard that sometime this year, Wolverine will die. Now, what's interesting here is that the series is actually not going to be handled by Paul Cornell, who has been writing Wolverine for a little over a year now, but it's going to fall into Charles Soule in adding yet another book to his growing list of titles. Not really sure why there was a sudden change in the author. I heard that the pitch was actually really good, and since Charles Soule is also taken over for Inhumanity, his pitch for there could have been what really sold it. In any case, there may be no books left for any inspiring writer to write for now that Charles Soule keeps adding titles to his. The last bit of Marvel news was this year is that there's going to be celebrating an 100th anniversary. Of course, the confusing part is that they haven't actually been around for 100 years yet. Well, it turns out they're doing this about 40 some odd years early, that there'll be 100th anniversary issues of series, but the books themselves inside the story are going to be taking place in 2061, which would make the year of their 100th anniversary. From this, we have the release of X-Men, Fantastic Four, Avengers, Spider-Man, and Guardians of the Galaxy issues. This does kind of make me wonder what they're going to do for their actual 100th anniversary when it comes around proper. Now, before I go, I would like to point out something that's been going on in the comic book community. Last several weeks, once again, Cretans have seemed to infest our world, deciding to go on the attack against a woman who spoke about a comic book cover. As always, I would like to say, those who think death and rape threats are the go-to in these sort of situations, grow the fuck up already. If you can't handle a simple critique by a girl, then we don't want you here. Every time you speak, you make us all look like a bunch of knuckle-dragging idiots. Shit like this isn't welcome. Period. What is welcome is a new and amazing Tumblr called We Are Comics, where every day since appearing has shown just how wonderful and diverse this community really is. They are comics. I am comics. And I know this will make me sound like a hypocrite, but if you're doing these threats against a creator, an editor, a writer, an artist, whoever, on Twitter or some Facebook page, that you think it's funny to wish death on a person, that you think it's funny to wish rape on a person, guess what? You're not comics. Get the fuck out already. Now, please, check out We Are Comics Tumblr. It's at We Are Comics, or you can also follow their Twitter handle at We Are Comics 2. That's T with 2 O's. Go on. Well, that's all the time I have for now. Now take it over to you, Kat.
Thank you, good sir. The largest doujinshi event in the world, Comiket, has announced their first ever special event dedicated to a single franchise. The event is part of next year's Comiket Special 6 Otaku Summit 2015, a special spring event held every 5 years. The franchise? Kuroko's Basketball. After over a year of Kuroko events being cancelled across the country due to threats, including programming at Comiket, which cost them over $100,000, Kuroket, scheduled for March 29th, will hopefully make it up to Kuroko fans and all the crap they had to endure until the Kuroko threat suspect was arrested last December. A new bill in Japan could have real weight against scanlators. A bill currently in session in the Japanese Diet would allow publishers to file injunctions against unauthorized online distributors on behalf of the copyright holders. So your average mangaka can't afford the time or money it would take to try and take down their manga when someone's put it online illegally. Now that manga's publisher could do it for the artist using their own resources, like say a legal department, which means that Japanese copyright law would be better enforced and violators caught and punished rather than being left on the hook due to limited funds. What kind of impact that will have outside of Japan with international piracy is up for speculation, and the bill hasn't even passed yet, so more information, I guess, as it becomes available. Aniplex of America announced at SakuraCon that they will be simulcasting Sword Art Online 2 as it airs in Japan this summer. The company will also be hosting premiere screening events in the US, Japan, France, Germany, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Korea. The sequel will premiere in July and cover the Phantom Bullet arc featured in the 5th and 6th light novels. Dark Horse announced at SakuraCon that they've licensed Clamp's Legal Drug and Drug and Drop manga. Much like the other titles in their Clamp collection, Legal Drug will be published in omnibus form and hit shelves in September. The first volume of the sequel series, Drug and Drop, will release in January of next year. They've also announced that they will be releasing Clamp works digitally, starting with Clover in May and with Cardcaptor Sakura and Chobits following in June. Outside of the Clamp first, Dark Horse licensed Oriimo Koroneko, which will release next April, the late Kon Satoshi's Opus, which will hit shelves this November, and Seraphim 266,613,336 Wings, which I assure you sounds way shorter in the Japanese, a work between Kon and Oshii Mamoru, which will release in February. Shueisha's Jump Square magazine has announced that mangaka Watsuki Nobuhiro will be launching a Rurouni Kenshin spin-off manga about Kyoto arc villain Makoto Shishio. The manga release is planned to coincide with the 2 live-action films coming in August and September. To pen this new spin-off titled Record of Evil, Watsuki is putting his embalming manga on hiatus until the fall, which to me indicates that the Shishio story will be kind of a short one. We'll know more after Shueisha releases more details in the July issue. Aniplex of America announced at SakuraCon that they will be collaborating with recording studio Bang Zoom Entertainment to hold open auditions for the dub of Magi Kingdom of Magic, which is of course the sequel to Magi Labyrinth of Magic. The auditions will be held at Bang Zoom's booth at Anime Expo in Los Angeles, July 3rd through the 6th. Last year they held auditions for the first season of Magi, which drew 400 participants, only 3 of whom were actually cast. So your chances are slim, and if you want in, you can't reserve an audition space in advance, so you'll have to wait. But it's still a really good opportunity, and good luck to everyone who ends up trying out. Well guys, it's official. They've announced the cast for the Sailor Moon Crystal anime. We've been waiting to find out who would return and who would be recast, and finally the wait is over. First and foremost, Mitsui Shikotono is reprising the role of Sailor Moon. It's been 17 years since she played Tsukino Usagi, and she's eager to bring her love of the earlier anime into the new work. If you've never heard the Japanese version of Sailor Moon before and need a frame of reference for her voice, Mitsuishi plays Boa Hancock in One Piece and Misato in Evangelion, and actually those are terrible examples because Usagi is like way younger, but you get the idea. She's a tenured and talented actress, and the series would just not be complete without her. Now, as far as they've announced, she's the only reprising actress, so let's talk for a minute about the new girls. Kanemoto Hisako is Mizuno Ami, our new Sailor Mercury. She played Ika Musume in Squid Girl and Tomonori in Is This a Zombie? Sato Rina is taking up the mantle of Sailor Mars Hinore. She's best known for playing Negi in Negima. That's kind of a big deal, actually. Ito Shizuku will play Aino Minako, Sailor Venus. She played Misa in Negima and Kaori in A Certain Magical Index. All of these actresses are incredibly talented. They each have a long list of diverse acting and singing credits. Unfortunately, I just really haven't heard any of their major roles. I've caught them in a small part here or there, but I trust that director Sakai Munehisa, who's worked on like a ton of One Piece, has made the right voice choices, and I'm super excited to hear all these actresses in their new roles. Now, if you were paying attention, you'll notice that I've skipped a character. Koshimizu Ami is the new Sailor Jupiter Kino Makoto. Now her, I've heard. This is Kallen in Code Geass, and more recently, and like Ryuko in Kill la Kill. She's the new go-to badass chick actress, and it's going to be awesome to hear her as the rough around the edges but totally awesome Jupiter. Totally stoked about that. Now that they've announced the main cast, I'm eager to hear who will be playing the other major characters. Luna and Artemis are important characters to cast well, and I'm curious if Furuya Toru will reprise his role as Tuxedo Mask to recapture all the chemistry. $20 says they cast him. He was perfect then, he'll be perfect now. Now, in addition to the cast list, they've released some new character designs. Everything looks great. The designs are a little more sophisticated than 22 years ago. The lines are cleaner, the colors are a lot brighter. We'll see what an actual episode looks like, but I'm optimistic. I think it's going to be awesome. Sailor Moon streams worldwide on Nico Nico starting July 5th. And that's all I've got going on in anime and manga world. Over to you, Dr. Gonzo.
Well, the big news story for gaming came this last weekend when an excavation in Alamogordo, New Mexico unearthed the legendary cache of E.T. cartridges that were buried there in 1983. E.T. the Extraterrestrial for the Atari 2600 was the first licensed movie game and, perhaps as an omen of things to come, a colossal failure for Atari, and is largely credited with helping to throw the video game giant from the top of the industry, paving the way for Nintendo. The dig was financed by Fuel Entertainment, who filmed the dig as part of an Xbox-exclusive documentary titled Atari Game Over, which will debut later this year. And in other news, normally John would be the one to report this, but a loophole allows me to cover it. Actor Bob Hoskins died this week at 71 of pneumonia. The actor was best known for his role of Eddie Valiant in Who Framed Roger Rabbit and as Mario in the Super Mario Bros. Movie, a role which Hoskins regretted and was vocally critical of for years after its release, saying, quote, "It was a fucking nightmare. The whole experience was a nightmare." The actor retired in 2011 following a diagnosis of Parkinson's disease. His family was with him when he passed. And that's all the headlines we have for this week. And ordinarily we would cut to a musical break at this point, but we decided the show would run a little long if we did that. So we're just going to jump right into our Ask the Geeks portion of the show. Basically the way this worked, a couple weeks ago in our last episode, we presented you guys with 10 questions that we wanted to hear your opinions on. And you guys sent us a bunch of emails. So basically the way this works, a couple weeks ago we presented you guys with 10 questions we wanted to hear your opinions on, and you guys sent us a lot of emails. Seriously, a lot. With your answers and opinions, and so we went through and we picked out the cream of the crop, and we're gonna read them out here on the show and discuss them a little bit. So, and of course, we'll be giving our opinions on the individual questions as well. So, the first question here we have is, what movie/game/cartoon do you think most embodies the culture of the decade it was made in? So basically, most 80s cartoon, most 90s cartoon, most 2000s movie or television show. So, Bryan, you're the eldest amongst us. Why don't we start with you?
Thanks.
Asshole.
Yeah.
I'm the boss. It's my prerogative.
To be an asshole?
To be a complete and total asshole. I think for me it's really hard because like the 80s, because that's a lot what I sort of remember, and I want to say probably like G.I. Joe is probably one of the more 80s sort of cartoons or series that sort of existed. Mainly because it's followed the same characteristics of a lot of little like cartoons. Bad guy versus good guy wins. Here's a PSA. Like, you don't get PSAs anymore on shows or TV or anything. So like, anytime something came up going like with no one's half to battle, I'm like, that's totally 80s. We're gonna show you these guys trying to kill each other, and then we're going to teach you how to do the Heimlich maneuver.
Okay. All right, Kat, what about you? Most embodies the decade that it was made in.
I really think that the most 80s movie to ever 80s is I almost want to say Ghostbusters, but that is just slightly edged out by Earth Girls Are Easy.
Oh my God.
It's such a garbage flick that's all about music and big hair and
neon
80s clothes.
Oh,
Like
God.
it is everything about the 80s in terms of like music and fashion, like all into one movie. And it's so dumb, but it's so good.
I don't know. There's one I just discovered really recently from I think the 80s, just called "Girls Just Want to Have Fun," where it's a movie based on a song starring Sarah Jessica Parker and Helen Hunt. And I believe the storyline was that Sarah Jessica Parker was the snooty friend and Helen Hunt was I'm the wild and crazy one. And then they dance, and then she falls in love with a guy, and they enter a dance contest. I saw this at a bar. I was probably a little bit tipsy because I was like, is that Helen Hunt?
Oh man,
Helen Hunt?
Jesus. Most 80s property that I can think of. Oh my God. There's
He-Man.
no. I actually will it satisfy the condition of the question if it was made recently, but it was meant to evoke nostalgia for a past
No.
decade? Okay.
No,
All right.
doesn't count.
Okay, because I was gonna say Far Cry Blood Dragon because that game is so 80s, right down to the song they stole from what was it, Hotline Miami? Friends for eternity, loyalty, honesty. Oh God.
They stole a couple 80s songs in there.
But okay, no, it has to actually been made in the 80s. Then I'm
Or
going
any decade. Like
Or
what's
any
the most
decade,
90s thing
all right,
ever?
I'm gonna break the mold. Most 90s movie that I can think of, it would actually be Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Because like the whole first third of the movie, it's like I almost want to say they intentionally made it the most, because the movie came out in 1991, but it was supposed to be set in like 1997, I think. And I think they intentionally made it the most 90s movie that they could. I mean, you just look at the hair, the music, the fashion. John Connor's friend is motherfucking Budnick. Salute your shorts. And it's just, oh my God, yeah, that's the most 90s movie that I can think of.
The girl version of the most 90s movie ever is Clueless.
Clueless.
Okay, so we've given our thoughts. Now let's go to what the listeners say. So, okay, first one here that I got is from Jason, and he answered The Real Ghostbusters. Looking back at the pacing of the cartoon, along with the soundtrack, and most of the fashion of the characters, it just feels so 80s to me. You know, I can see that. I can see that, especially the fucking curly cue they gave Egon's hair in that show. Jesus.
That's interesting because I'm trying to remember when exactly that show debuted, and I actually cannot remember. Is it only because is it? Do we consider it super 80s because it's just connected to Ghostbusters, which is 80s?
No, it debuted in the 80s, so it counts.
Okay. I mean, no, I understand it counts. It's just so interesting that the Ghostbusters seems to be our sort of go-to now for 80s, almost 80s like nostalgia movies. I mean, it's a great film. It's a great franchise.
Because I think it's one of the few things that everyone can agree on is one of the things that came out. It's one of the few things that came out of the 80s that everyone can agree on is objectively good. You know, you're not necessarily going to find a whole lot of people arguing in favor of, say, leg warmers nowadays. But Ghostbusters, everyone loves Ghostbusters.
There you go. Or Helen Hunt in a weird movie. Sorry, that's just going to bother me forever.
Helen Hunt.
Okay. All right. What else we got here?
If I can, from our listener Dave, not Dave, Dan. I'm sorry. He goes into the 90s and to a television show I actually watched.
Collisions.
Bryan can speak goodly.
Yeah. Clarissa explains it all. Or Clarissa.
There's an L in there. Clarissa.
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 What she said explains it all.
That name is going to be your new Darlex, isn't it?
Yes. Because I used to be able to say it well, and now I can't.
Okay.
Now, yeah, this is a show starring Melissa Joan Hart. That is just quintessential 90s. Like, from the way she dresses, the way everyone acts, the way the sort of, like, my parents are kind of weird. I have this really weird friend. I hate my brother. I'm wearing neon for some reason. I'm going to talk to you and make Flash games before Flash games even were a thing.
The boy I like climbs through my bedroom window every day, and this is in no way creepy whatsoever.
Yeah.
What was his name?
I don't remember
I think it was
his name.
Sam.
Might have been just Sam.
Hi,
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam. And then you'd hear the clink of his ladder hitting the windowsill.
And then that guitar riff.
Yeah. Like every time.
Just once, I wanted to hear that ladder clank. Have her go, "Hey Sam," he's like, "No, it's Mark, the cable guy."
Just so apparently, well, that was the running joke of the show. Eventually, was he never used the front door. Like, there were times he came through I remember the scene. Times he came through the kitchen window. They're like, "Hi, Sam," and then he climbs out the kitchen window. The parent just turns, going, "Does he ever use a door?"
Okay.
But like,
Yeah,
but no, kind of want to explain that. And not only this, I actually remember I was talking to this earlier, but I remember actually going visiting the set, and it's funny that you mentioned Sam, because that poor actor. Yeah, at Nickelodeon Studios in Orlando, Florida.
Which was like kid Mecca.
And seriously.
Yeah, and that poor actor, that poor kid, like when he wasn't like acting and he had to like wait for the scene, he had like just basically a blanket and a pillow at like the bottom of the ladder, because they used the real ladder for some god unknown reason. They used the real ladder for him to climb, so he had to sort of wait for like the cue to then put it up and then climb it. I was like, you couldn't have made it look like a step ladder or shorter, but no, I guess realism was the thing then.
In a show of, like, where she draws things in the air and shit.
And just talks to the audience all the time.
Breaks every fourth wall imaginable, but realism in the ladder is what's important.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I felt a little sad for that guy.
All right, Kat, what's one that you found?
Well, our friend Phil Grady had like the longest answer ever. And I'm just gonna talk about a little bit of it, because he picked the early 2000s, 2000 to 2010, and actually brought up Pokemon. He says, "When I was a kid in 1999, there wasn't anyone who wasn't talking about Pokemon in some form or another, whether it was the game, the anime, or the trading card game. Oh. There are so many people for whom Pokemon was their gateway drug into at least one of these future hobbies. Not only that, but it was one of those phenomena to break the demographic barrier, at least for cliques of 10 years old, albeit temporarily." And well, I of course never got into Pokemon for whatever reason. This is true. This is absolutely true. It's so kind of, it has a lot of 90s feel to it, but it's definitely like the 2000s, what a lot of people will think of when they think of the early 2000s, and kids, you know, rushing home after school to watch Pokemon, or watch Pokemon in the morning before they go to school, whatever. Everybody played the game. Everybody was really into it, and so there was a lot going on that they, you know, incorporated from modern day, you know, into the show and into the whatever. And I don't know what I'm saying here, but Pokemon.
Man, I remember when Pokemon first came out, and usually when I have these conversations with my friends, because I'm so much older than most of them, this is where they normally go, "Oh, grandfather, are you going to tell us about the timey days of yore?" Yes, my children. I remember when, like, Pokemon first came out, it was fucking everywhere. Like, and it was to the point where you would see, like, little kiosks in malls selling bootleg Pokemon merchandise. It was fucking insane.
Like, Pikachu got more popular than Mickey Mouse.
And then, like, you know, you talk to some of the kids, and it's like, "I remember when there were only 150 Pokemon. Oh, you must have caught them all really quick then." Let me tell you something. Poké nerds my age, the word Safari Zone triggers PTSD.
I like Pokemon. It was sort of that like right before, I guess, the new millennium, and so that's the biggest new millennium thing that sort of just exploded onto the world. I didn't get much into it till much later, but yeah, like when I think back, God, Pokemon's been around for a while.
And then I show them my old Game Boy Link cable, and they go, "What is this, grandfather? What is this rope? Is this what the men in your tribe used to subdue the woolly mammoth?"
Just wait till you show them controllers with cords. You mean you had a distance? Yes, and we used every single bit of it.
Now let me show you the knob I had to turn on my TV.
Okay, well I got another good one here from he just wrote his name as PD, but he writes about an 80s video game. He says, when I think of 80s video games, I can only think of the classic Mega Man series. And you look at that is about as 80s as sci-fi got back, as sci-fi it could ever have been. Like, cause that's what it was. It was all like, like I can't even describe it. It just had that feel to it. Like we felt like anything was possible. The sky was the limit, and for some reason, everything had giant googly eyes on it.
Well, not only that, think about like a lot of things of the 80s, a lot of like 80s movies and TV shows and just media in general. It's always about a boy and his like whatever companion he sort of had. What's Mega Man? He's a robot boy with his robot dog, out to save the robot world, kind of. So like, yeah, I can definitely see where like you sort of explain it like that. It was just sort of a product of what was going on around the time.
Oh man, and there were tons of those types of stories. Like especially in the movies. There's Flight of the Navigator, Explorers. There's at least one more that I have seen many times, but I can't think of off the top of my head. Daryl, the one about the cyborg kid, which the only thing I remember about that movie is a scene where, through circumstances, he winds up stealing a fighter jet from an Air Force base. Don't ask me why, I can't remember. But there's a camera mounted in the cockpit that the military is using to monitor him, and he turns around, pulls a piece of gum out of his mouth, sticks it on the camera lens, and the scientist turns to the general and says, "An 11-year-old boy with a stick of gum just defeated $18 million of military surveillance equipment."
Damn it, we should have thought about the gum.
Well, you guys find any other good ones for this question?
Well, I have one from Tiffany, and she brings up actually Rocko's Modern Life is the quintessential 90s cartoon, which is one that is not overly cliche or dated, but timely. It was one of my favorites as a kid, and still one of my favorite American cartoons today. Now, I liked not overly cliche, because I'm pretty sure maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I think that show was like, let's take this cliche and then never use it and do something insane. Because it's like, oh, this is what's going to happen. No, this is what's going to happen. What the fuck just happened?
I actually, when I was a kid, I used to have a shirt just like the one Rocko wore, blue with the purple triangles.
Hey, oh my.
Yeah, I know. How big a dork was I back then? Jesus. I didn't even get it in connection with the show. It just, my mom saw it in the store one day and thought it looked good on me and bought it for me.
You were just like Rocko.
Yep. But no, Rocko's Modern Life, that was the shit, man. So that was the only gross out show that I could get away with watching, because my parents wouldn't let me watch Ren and Stimpy. And now that I go back as an adult and I watch those old Ren and Stimpy cartoons, I think they might have had a point on this one.
Yeah, maybe, just a little. Here's
the thing, because my mother was, very conservative when I was a small child. A lot of the stuff that kids my age grew up with, I wasn't allowed to see. Like, I wasn't allowed to watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles until I was like 10. And by that point, the original series had pretty much ended. I wasn't allowed to watch Ren and Stimpy. I'm trying to think. I was barely allowed to watch He-Man. And then, it wasn't necessarily I wasn't allowed to watch it, but when Batman the Animated Series came out, this is when my mom was in her Adventist phase. We were going to church on Saturday mornings, and Batman was on while we were in fucking church. And, like, the thing is like, this was the show that everyone was talking around the snack table at school the next day over their, stale crackers and cartons of milk. And I was left out because I didn't get to see it because I was in church when Batman was on.
Fuck your life, man.
Yeah, I know, right?
So,
first world problems.
Yeah, I know.
Hashtag first world problems.
Children, war, 1992, there's a war going on in Bosnia, but fuck it. All I care about is I'm not allowed to watch Batman. Because I'm 6. All right, Kat, what about you? Did you find another good one?
Well, our good friend Bima DeCashman, who I can't believe we haven't mentioned until now, and first question, actually gave an answer for today's time, so like now, the 2010s, I guess, and brings up the Avengers. He says the Avengers is a fantastic reflection of our modern culture. It's a film that doesn't test the audience patience by having an overall story or development. Rather, it has quirky goofball moments and video games stages, two plurals there, video game stages for action scenes with colorful, iconic, and pre-established characters. Basically, this generation is full of children who like eye candy.
So I'm guessing he didn't like it then.
No, it makes a sort of sense to it, but there was, like, well, at the same time, the characters were developed in their own films, and then like, here we are, and then we're going to go off and do our own films again, and then we're going to come back and here we are. Like, that's sort of that's the very basic way of explaining it. But no, I think he's got a point there, because there's a lot of Avengers stuff just from the movie, like around the even just like the internet, like the fan fiction and the fan art. Good lord.
Okay. Well, I got one last one here for this question from Alea, who gives us a 1, 2, 3, a 4-way tie between some very heavy '90s hitters: Rugrats, Rocko's Modern Life, Ren and Stimpy, and Beavis and Butthead. And oh my God,
Nicktoons and MTV.
Back when MTV played music. Oh God, that's gonna be the next thing that the kids call me grandfather. So I remember when MTV played music. Man, that was, you know what? When MTV actually dropped the music television subtitle, that was when I realized that was it. My childhood was over. This was no longer my world. These were no longer my people, and I was bound to board the gray ships off to the undying lands, never again to be seen in the world of man. And then someone told me Comedy Central had picked up Futurama again. I was like, oh man, fuck Undying Paradise. I want to see how this shakes out.
Hold the boat, Splash.
Okay. All right, next question here. This one came from Bryan. And the question is, do you buy comics in single issues or do you wait for the trade paperback? And Bryan, why don't you give us your answer on this one?
It's so strange. I do both when I really shouldn't, because that's expensive. There's pros and cons to having single issues versus trade waiting. If things got really bad for me, I've actually trade waited before. There was a time in my life around probably mid 90s, maybe early 2000s, where I just could, because I still couldn't really afford it. So I just said, all right, I'll just wait for the books to come out. Because it's nice to A, get a full story out of it, and B, you kind of save money in the long run. It's like buying in bulk, like going to Costco, going, yeah, I don't need 50 million plies of toilet paper, but you never know. So right now I'm sort of half and half. If there's a series I really like, I'll follow it. If there's a series I'm kind of interested in, maybe I'll wait for a trade.
Yeah, see, I the only time I really got into collecting issues on a regular basis was when I actually worked at a comic book store. Twilight Zone Comics in Glen Burnie, represent!
Yeah, boy!
Go in and tell them I said you, maybe you'll get a discount. But,
or they'll be like, God, that guy's still alive?
Hey, no, I got along with everybody that worked there. Bumper and I are still really good friends, so no, that's cool.
You're friends with a guy named Bumper.
He was the owner of the store!
His name is Bumper.
Well, that's his nickname. Well,
anyway, are you sure? Have you ever checked his driver's license?
We're getting off topic here. But, anyway, checks in the mail bump. But, anyway, outside of that, the only comics that I ever got into even collecting the trades for on a regular basis were, the Marvel Max Punisher run under Garth Ennis, which I hold is the quintessential golden standard of the character. And a series ran by Vertigo called Transmetropolitan, which I will shout from the rooftops is required reading for anyone who has any kind of love for comics or social justice. You need to read Transmetropolitan. So yeah, and I think I can pretty much guess what Kat's answer is going to be.
But no, the obvious answer is, of course, that I buy manga, which are generally released in tankobon, so like the compiled volumes. They, I used to collect the Shonen Jump monthly magazine that we get here in the U.S. But that was just expensive, and I can't throw anything away. So like just piles and piles of magazines, and those are like some fake ass magazines. So
they come out every week, don't they?
In Japan.
Oh God, and they're the size of fucking phone books over there too.
Yes,
Jesus.
yes, they are the size of fucking phone books, but people will just read them. They'll buy them for like a couple dollars and read them and then just recycle them. They don't collect them. Usually.
In the province of Osaka, the December edition of Shonen magazine is classified as a lethal weapon.
And I've seen it used to murder.
I'm just imagining.
I knew Naruto was bad, but I never knew it would actually cause death.
Well, it depends on how hard you hit him and how many times.
Okay. Well, let's see. From the fans, Claire writes that she normally waits for the trades. She's only really been buying single issues within the last year. Okay, that's all right, cool. Let's see. Dan, your boy Dan, Bryan, he writes that he doesn't live anywhere where he can buy comics regularly, so he buys singles.
Well, he should start looking at digital, if that's the case.
Oh no, wait, I misread his answer. He doesn't live anywhere. He doesn't live near anywhere where he can buy comics regularly. So I guess he's a trade waiter.
I understand that completely. Probably waiting for like Amazon, but he might if he gets interested. I would say like look into digital. But like I said in my headlines, it's getting a little bit harder now since Amazon and Comixology and Apple are now sort of fighting each other. Yeah, so maybe wait for that to cool down, then think about digital.
Okay. All right, Bryan, you get any answers to this one?
Yeah, I only have one, but it's a really good one because I love the analogy. Elena? Am I saying her name right? Allaiyyah.
That's Alea.
Alea. I am terrible.
You are.
Yes, you are.
Alea wrote, trade paperbacks because issues get bent and comic ink comes off in my hands. Also for the same reason people get into Game of the Year editions of games instead of buying expansion packs and DLC separately. And I just like that little analogy because I haven't even thought of that before, because that is sometimes what happens with single issues. It's reading, this story continues over there. You're like, why? Where a trade paperback will have that issue inside of it if it's the whole story.
Well, and then you also get like the nifty little extras like the cover gallery, and occasionally there's an interview with the writer.
Yeah, you'll have a forward. My absolute favorite when I get a trade is they say they'll have samples of the scripts in the back, because I find that fascinating. Because I just love I love to see how like ideas and script work with comic, because it's always different with whoever like you sort of talk to and whoever's writing. So yeah, that's something really nice. Like I love this analogy. This is a great analogy. I might steal it and use it for the future.
Okay, Kat, what about you? Did you find any answers that you like?
Well, PD, I guess who goes by the name the Jonan Monkey? That's what was in the email. Says the exact same thing as me. Sadly, I don't read that many comics. I buy volumes of manga. Does that count? You and me both, brother.
I feel like there's a bias here.
Okay. Let's see. Peter here writes he doesn't buy comics, period. He waits for Linkara or The Last Angry Geek to review them. I don't know.
That's just cheating.
Yeah. I feel like you're really missing out on that, though.
Well, it's yes and no. Comics is sort of a buffet. You can choose what you want. You can wait. Don't get overstuffed. Too much MSG.
Okay. All right.
I thought it was funny. Fuck you.
All right. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Our third question here. What is the best video game nobody's heard of? And let me tell you right now, I got Steam fired up now to see if I can buy any of these answers. So let's see what we got here. Let's see. First one here is from Jason, and he writes one of the Ikari Warriors games. I just don't remember which one it was or what was the name. I just remember playing it on a cruise ship when I was 7. Well, that really doesn't help me out there, Jason.
Well, can't you type that into the Steam search? This guy is not that good.
Valve are many things, but mind readers are not one of them.
Well, soon.
But he writes there was a power-up that made your blast as big as your body, and it would take out everything in its path, and bosses took up half the screen. It's a fun game that I remember to this day, just not the name. Okay, all right. Brian, did you find any answers that you like?
Yeah, I got one from our friend Bima. I only put this down because I've never heard of this, and I've Googled it. Nothing shows up. I want to know if this is a real game. It's Cashman's Adventure in Kashima? Best MMORPG 1, 2, 3 ever.
I'm pretty sure he's trolling you.
Yeah, I was like, what?
No, I've heard of it.
You have?
I've heard of it. It's a real thing. It's made by... No, it's totally...
Okay. Because there was just...
That would be...
There was a moment, I was like, what is this game? Why can I not find it? Is it a...
I would play that game, though. And I don't even play games, and I would play that game.
I would, just out of curiosity. Okay. Ashley Lau answers Shadow of Destiny, or Shadow of Memories, depending on where you live. It's a PS2 game about time travel, alchemy, and preventing your own death, complete with side quests that impact what kind of ending you get. I love this game to pieces, but for whatever reason, it just never caught on. I think console-based adventure games were kind of on the way out around that time. Maybe that's why. I'm gonna have to look that one up, because I've actually heard of Shadow of Destiny, but I've never actually played it. I seem to remember seeing a copy of it in the wild somewhere. I think at East Starland somewhere, but I can't remember. Dan Davis writes Mr. Gimmick for the NES, which I've never heard of, but then again, the NES had like 1,000 games, so that's not really surprising.
Yeah, it doesn't sound familiar to me either. Is there any games that you personally think that no one knows about?
My favorite video game that nobody's heard about? Ooh. Okay, well, here's the thing. Are we limiting this question just to older games that didn't really get a big following, or am I allowed to pick a newer game as well?
You can pick a newer
That
game.
game should be fine.
Okay, all right. I'm allowed to pick, and I know exactly what I'm going to pick. It is, hands down, the bloodiest, goriest, most visceral sci-fi game I have ever played. Blood, death, and gore surrounds you. The effects of an alien attack, everywhere you look, and you don't fire a single shot.
So it's not a Space Marine shooter, kind of?
No.
What is it?
You're the poor janitor who goes along behind the Space Marine cleaning up the mess. I shit you not. The game is called Viscera Cleanup Detail. It's on Steam now. And it's literally, you are a janitor going around all these space stations cleaning up the mess left behind by alien attacks, Space Marine gunfights, the works. And it's really weird. On paper, it sounds ridiculous, but I'm telling you what, I have not been able to put it down since I got it.
Is this the same group that made Goat Simulator?
No.
Are we sure? It sounds like the small insane group that would come up with this idea.
But it's like, and the thing is, it's like it's all the little touches that really make it fun, to play, and also a little irritating, because like you can't just take like one bucket of mop water and clean up the whole thing. No, as you mop and clean out your mop, your water actually dirties up, so you have to go for a fresh bucket. I don't know. I like it. It's pretty new, so that's probably why nobody's heard of it. But if you have a system that can run it, definitely check it out. But what about you, Brian? What have you come up with?
See, I don't know if this is a game no one's ever heard of, but this was a game I didn't hear of until a friend of mine from here sort of jammed it down my throat and eventually let me borrow to play it for the Xbox 360, called Blue Dragon.
Ooh.
Now,
Yeah,
I don't know a lot of people who've played it.
Well, in that it's a good game, and not in that it's necessarily really obscure.
Yeah, so like for me, I know maybe, and it was a character designed by Akira Toriyama. So every so often you'll see a Goku and a Bulma. And so, but I don't play a lot of JRPGs, because not anymore, not for a long time. But this one really was really good. In terms of both like storyline, the fighting didn't get super boring for me, because hopefully it was good, because it was 3 discs long. Yeah, and the ending to each like chapter said disc was an ending to the original Star Wars movies. My friend told me that. I was like, just watch, and I watched. I was like, this is like A New Hope. This is Empire Strikes Back. This is Return of the fucking Jedi.
I'm going to stop you right there because Peter came up with the answer that wins all answers for this question, and he said Star Tropics for the NES. Yes, my brother. Yes. Why hasn't this game gotten past the NES? And I am inclined to agree. For those who are not as aged as I am, Star Tropics was an RPG on the original NES, where Star Tropics is one of those games it can't really be described. It has to be experienced. I would basically describe it as imagine if you were playing Zelda and Link was armed with a yo-yo instead of a sword. Sounds stupid, I know, but it was actually a really compelling game. It got one sequel in Zoda's Revenge, also on the NES, and then it just kind of vanished. It's never been seen or heard from since. So yeah, that needs to come back. Star Tropics. Kat, have you found any answers that you like?
I don't know about any of these games.
Okay, well let's see here now. Gotta be another good one here. I'm trying to pick ones from people that we haven't heard from yet.
I'm sure they're all very excellent, but I have no basis of comparison.
Okay. All right, Jake Salo. He writes. He would say Breakdown to the original Xbox. It's a really fun game that had a real sense of power-up progression, good story, and pretty entertaining combat. Honorable mention goes to Lost Odyssey for the Xbox 360. Okay, Breakdown. I don't know if I'd call that a game that nobody's heard of. Lost Odyssey, though, definitely. And I think that actually had a PS. I think I've actually got that for the PS2. I'm not sure. Go back and look.
Because I don't. Huh? Neither of those don't sound in. Don't click in my brain.
Okay. And last one here from Miko Kurjo. I'll just call him Miko. I'm sorry, dude. I cannot pronounce your last name. But he writes Shadow Hearts JRPG trilogy for the PS2, the best and possibly only secret history / gothic horror themed RPG experience that is set in our own world's history. I really hope they get an HD remaster made someday. I do too, because I've heard of that series and I would like to play them. Okay, number 4. Which characters would you like to see the Marvel Cinematic Universe take on next, aside from the ones which have already been announced and or hinted at? We're going to enforce that rule pretty strictly, so I don't want to hear any Doctor Stranges here. So, Bryan, let's start with you.
Doctor Strange, damn it!
Bang glove!
I'm kidding.
Yes, likes me!
Yes, of course, every show. Truthful answer, also a little bit comic answer. Beta Ray Bill, because I just want to see Beta Ray Bill. Beta Ray Bill. Beta Ray Bill. That's all I want. I want Beta Ray Bill.
So you want
He's Space Thor! He's Space Thor! Yes, he has a horse.
Goat Thor.
Horse face. Get it right. Space Thor!
Space Thor.
Thor in space! All right. I've got an idea of who Kat's answer is going to be, but Kat, go ahead and let's see.
Since I don't read a lot of comics and don't know much outside the cinematic universe, God, hold on. I'm trying to think.
I'm really
I'm gonna say She-Hulk, but I'm trying to think of somebody else in addition to She-Hulk. Wasp. Damn it. There.
Well, I don't know. She might show up in the Ant-Man movie.
I don't know about that. So, maybe, but I doubt it.
I don't know, because, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't Wasp married or was married at one point to Hank Pym?
Yes. Before she died.
Isn't Ant-Man in this movie, so...
Oh, he's not? Oh, well then maybe...
It's the other guy.
Oh, well then I may actually go and see the Ant-Man movie, because I think Hank Pym is a fucking asshole.
No, Hank Pym's in the Ant-Man movie, but he's played by... Fruitcake.
Dennis Quaid or somebody.
No, not Dennis Quaid. That would be...
I would spill the blood of a dozen men to see Dennis Quaid in a superhero film. I shit you not. That would be appointment TiVo viewing right there.
I keep wanting to say Kirk Douglas, but I think I'm wrong.
Oh, it's somebody, but Hank Pym is going to be in it, but it's when the other guy takes over as Ant-Man that this movie takes place. That's what I read on.
All right. Okay.
Anyway.
All right. Okay. Well, let's see. For me, he's already had 2 movies done, but they weren't set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so it technically still counts. I want to see a good Punisher film, and for God's sakes, if you're gonna do a Punisher movie, bring back fucking Thomas Jane. He owned that role. I swear up and down that if the Thomas Jane Punisher movie had just had a better script, Thomas Jane could have made that movie amazing. I
really like the Thomas Jane Punisher. I think the director's cut actually helped it out a little bit more. It also hurt it a little bit because there were some really weird scenes. But no, I agree with Thomas Jane was Punisher. I think that
Dude, have you seen Laundry Day?
Yes, I've seen Laundry Day. I got like 4 messages when that came out. Now, and for the longest part, I was like, for the video, I was like, is this just Thomas Jane doing his laundry? And then you get to the end, I'm like, oh, okay. What are you doing here, Ron Perlman?
Selling Yoo-hoo and whiskey to the Punisher.
Suddenly Ron Perlman.
Okay, well, let's see what the fans have to say about this. Ooh, here's a really good one. It's also from Miko. Ooh, I got a really good one here. It's also from Miko. Last name unpronounceable. And he writes he wants to see Squirrel Girl because the furry reaction would be so fun to see on both sides of the proverbial coin. And I agree. I want to see a Squirrel Girl movie because she breaks the laws of the Marvel Universe. She really does.
She's kind of a shit character. People don't seem to get it. She's a joke.
That's the point. You know what we need? We need a Deadpool and Squirrel Girl team-up movie. Make that shit happen.
I don't think you're going to get a Deadpool Squirrel Girl just because Deadpool's awful with 20th Century Fox doing fuck all. And if they actually did make Deadpool Squirrel Girl, I'm pretty sure the world would end.
And it would be awesome.
I'm pretty sure like the first like showings like, and here it is. Oh, and the pits of hell opened up.
Okay. All right. What about you, Brian? Did you find any answers that you particularly liked?
Well, our friend PD actually said Wasp as well, mostly because he also wouldn't mind having Spider-Girl. But he doesn't tell me which one, because there's been a couple, and I'm wondering if you mean Spider-Woman? I know I'm just probably confusing Cat over there, but there's more than one?
What, are they different ages? Oh my god!
They are, in fact.
Well, no, there's...
Well, that makes sense.
Well, no, there's a future Spider-Girl, then there's a present Spider-Girl, and you have a Spider-Woman, and then you have another Spider-Girl in another universe. Comics! Anyway.
I tell you what, I wouldn't mind seeing the Spider-Woman from Ultimate Spider-Man. It was just a female clone of Peter Parker.
That's creepy.
Yeah, find a female lookalike for Andrew Garfield and make that into a movie. I'd pay to see that.
Isn't that just Emma Stone and she's already playing like Gwen Stacy?
I don't think they look alike, do they?
Maybe it's just...
I don't know, but I've never met a woman with as douchey of a hairstyle as Andrew Garfield. He has the douchiest hair I've ever seen. Like Robert Pattinson has less douchey hair.
Yeah, he does have that kind of high school football jock haircut, doesn't he?
It's just
yet he's a nerd.
It's a fucking poofy as shit. Like, man, if he had a pompadour, it'd probably kill people.
Anyway, back on topic. Kat, did you find any answers?
Spider hair. Okay.
That's it. Show's over.
So, Ryan Lyles writes in, and I have no idea who this character is, but he would love to see the Moon Knight take on some sort of role. And he says, yes, he's like a schizophrenic version of Batman, but I think he would work great in an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., if not a minor role in an Avengers film. And as much as I love the guy, I don't think he offers enough to sustain a solo film. I have no idea who this character is, but since hearing that he's like a schizophrenic version of Batman, I now really want to see this character.
Yeah, that's a good that's like probably the perfect sort of definition of Moon Knight, schizophrenic Batman, because he gets his powers, like he gets extra powers from the moon, but he's a little bit on the insane side. Egypt. Moon Knight's one of those characters that like was invented and constantly forgot about. Then you bring him back, so you think he's a new character, and you're like, no, wait, I remember him. Like, he's on his 4th series, I think, right now.
And he always does his best in spite of his schizophrenia, he always does his best to try and save everyone, except for that one bitch from Frontline who told Captain America that he wasn't in touch with America because he didn't know what MySpace was. What was that woman's name? What was that woman's name?
Oh, I don't remember, and I don't think we should, because that was terrible.
Yeah. Like, I represent truth, justice, the American way. Captain America, do you know what MySpace is? What? Do you know what NASCAR is? No, you don't know what the American people like. So that makes you awful. Okay, all right. Another answer.
Well, Peter here brings up I think a fan favorite character that everyone really wants to see. That's She-Hulk. Why not?
She-Hulk.
Like, seriously, like she needs to either show up as, you know, Law and Order She-Hulk, or she has to be S.H.I.E.L.D.'s lawyer or something or other. Or maybe she'll show up in the Daredevil like series they're doing on Netflix and they'll have a courtroom scene. Like, she needs to show up eventually because we're all waiting for it.
And you know what they need to do? They need here would be the perfect plot, the perfect B plot. She has to represent the Avengers in court for the damages that were accrued during the Chitauri invasion. And in the comics, they actually use issues from the comic book as evidence. So in the She-Hulk film, she actually uses clip from the Avengers, a DVD of the Avengers movie.
So we got this from Surveillance, quote unquote.
No. They had to play it completely straight, as it's an actual Blu-ray of the Avengers movie. Here you are in scene 23 with the Hulk smashing through the bank on the back of this serpent. Are you telling me that you're not responsible for that damage, since you were the one who knocked that worm into the building in the first place?
No.
What about the
Hulk smash?
I
I don't know, man.
In the criminal justice system, it's represented by two separate yet equal groups: the police who investigate the crimes and the goddamn She-Hulk. This is her story.
Dum.
Dun, dun.
Okay, Kat, did you find another one that you like?
Did we mention Bima yet? Because he wrote his answer in all caps, and it's not really a good answer to the question, but he wrote it in all caps, and I kind of feel like it needs to be thrown out there. He says, Disney needs to secure the rights to Spidey and Wolverine right the fuck now. They have the resources. If they can't get total control, strike a deal with Fox and Sony. This will be a huge missed opportunity if they can't get Marvel's two biggest icons besides Captain America and Hulk.
Well, he makes a valid point, because both Spider-Man and Wolverine are members of the Avengers.
Everyone's a member of the Avengers.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone to Wikipedia and look at the membership list? It's like five.
Man, ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, 5 fucking pages, and that's just the prologue.
I think the only ones who haven't been on the Avengers at some point are the Punisher and Ghost Rider.
Well, Punisher, that makes perfect sense. He would not be on the fucking Avengers. Ghost Rider, I'm not sure why he's never been on the Avengers. Oh well.
So, okay. Well, speaking of the Avengers, kind of tangentially, I've got one here from Jake, and he wants to see an Alpha Flight movie.
Really?
What is that?
Alpha Flight's a Canadian team of superheroes and mutants.
Yes, that sounds awesome. They would be the politest superheroes ever.
Wolverine was on the team for a while. Of course, Wolverine's on every fucking team.
And you know who else was on the team for a while, Brian, that you would really want to see? Beta Ray Bill.
Here we go. Space Thor.
Yep. And what I find funny about Alpha Flight is at one point the U.S. agent was a member of Alpha Flight. I just want you to think about that for a moment. A Canadian super team included a Captain America knockoff named the U.S. agent.
And it was good publicity at the time. He was there mainly for the maple syrup and the alcohol.
And the hockey.
And the hockey.
Okay, let's see any other good ones here. Let's see, Squirrel Girl. Okay, I pretty much read all the answers I have for this question. What about you guys? Any last ones for this question?
Doctor Strange.
Ah, she did it too.
And the pink glove.
Totally worth it.
Okay. All right. So.
Comparison.
All right. This one's. What is the next anime series to get redone and made closer to the manga? What do you think it should be? So we're talking. What's the next anime to get the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood treatment? So, Kat, we'll start with you.
Oh Oh gosh. For my own answer, oh god, oh god, oh god. Hold on, I'm looking at my shelf.
This could
We'll
be a
be,
while.
we'll be here a while.
Yeah.
Hey, Get Backers, that'll do. Get Backers.
Okay, now for those of us who don't know what that is.
It's a show about people who get stuff back for other people. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. But the manga goes like way further than the anime. Although the anime does look way better than the manga.
Wait, you mean that's not the one? I thought that was the one about the gay rock band.
No. No, that's Gravitation.
Yeah, okay, that's okay.
Everybody's gay.
They both start with G. I was close.
I mean, there's a whole lot of anime that start with G, including ga 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 ga. Greatest theme song ever.
Okay, all right. Let's see. Anime I would like to see made close to the manga. You know, I want to see Trigun Maximum animated.
Ooh,
Because let me tell you something. Those Trigun fans who only seen the anime and never read the manga, you are missing the fuck out, man. Okay,
Yes.
Brian, what about you? And just know that if you make up a name, we will know.
Speed Racer? I don't watch a lot of anime.
Speed Racer? What? Speed Racer had a manga?
Did it?
Probably. I'm sure it did.
Quick, someone look it up. Otherwise, I'm just a jackass right now. Yeah.
Well, even if it did have manga, you're still a jackass. But you know,
Yeah,
hey.
that's true.
He did make a show up though.
Yeah. I picked a show that was in fact at one time made in Japan that I didn't realize until like I was 18.
Yes, there was a manga in 1966 to 1968,
Boom!
and then the anime came out in '67.
And that was just a guess.
Okay.
What up?
Lucky shot.
It was. I'm not denying.
I thought of another one, and this one I can't believe I didn't actually think of first. One of my favorite ever manga, hands down, period, is Hoshin Engi, which I can't even begin to get into the plot of. But they made a great little anime of it called Senkai Den Hoshin Engi, or Soul Hunter, when they brought it over to the U.S. And it was like, I don't know, like 26 episodes or something, and the manga is like 20-something volumes. And like everybody dies, and I need to see this on screen because that's the only way to cope with my feels.
You have to actually see the
and so
bloodshed.
that's
one, because it's actually one of the huge shonen series that, yeah, like, because there's just so much that happens in it, and it's just this huge spanning story, and it eventually gets into aliens, and when you leave out the aliens out of the anime, and you still have all of the things that are produced by aliens, it kind of makes it confusing. So you have this ancient Chinese setting, and then you're like, why does this girl have a karaoke machine? And it's because aliens. It really is because aliens this time. And because they don't put the aliens in, you don't know why there's podiums and karaoke machines. People need to know it's the aliens.
I get the feeling that if I understood half of the things you just said, I would know a great deal more about the universe than I did before.
You would know about the aliens.
I'll tell you another anime I would like to see done closer to the manga, if for no other reason than it would actually allow me to finally fucking understand the title character. I want to see fucking Excel Saga get reanimated.
Well, the voice actresses are still around. Don't know if they want to reprise those roles or not.
Because I hated the anime, but I loved the manga. Okay, but anyway, what did the fans say? Okay, let's see here now. We got one from Claire. She would like to see Cardcaptor Sakura get reanimated. And I think I could get behind that, because I remember watching a couple episodes of Cardcaptor growing up, and it was awful. Of course, I watched the dub that showed on Kids WB, so maybe I got tainted product.
And honestly, like, Magic Knight Rayearth got fucked up because they tried to make it too long, and Tsubasa got really fucked up, and they made like the best arc, which was this huge arc of the manga, and they made it into like a 2-episode OVA, and that's just not right, man. That's just not right. So like everything that they touch with Clamp, like especially X, because X isn't even over, and they've done a movie and a series, and nobody knows how it's really supposed to end. So these are like anything Clamp should really be remade.
Okay, so Kat, did you find any answers that you liked?
Yeah, Phil Grady would like to see a remake of Black Butler. Now, Black Butler, yeah, he says it would be more like a he says, while the manga is still ongoing, I would love to remake it without filler arcs. Let us not speak of Black Butler 2. Now, if you've heard me over the years talk on Black Butler 2, you will know that one of the greatest atrocities to mankind is the second season of Black Butler. It's stupid, it's horrible, it's unnecessary. You can't take a show where you make a definitive ending to a season and then you go, oh, look, we made a lot of money off of yaoi-obsessed girls. Let's make another season and make more yaoi in it. And it doesn't work because it doesn't work. You made a definitive ending for the first season. You can't bring those characters back, but they did it anyway, and it's dumb and it's horrible.
Kat,
And
yes? It's okay. The bad anime can hurt you now.
But it can, because there's cosplayers and fan art. It just won't go away. Anyway, so yeah, I would actually, even though it only came out fairly recently, within the last couple of years, they could really stand to redo the first season of Kuroshitsuji and do it correctly without adding extra filler characters and weird filler arcs and weird stuff, and just stick to the good stuff. I know we're eventually good. I think we're getting the circus arc pretty soon, but they've just fucked it up so much getting there that it's just not going to be as good, I think.
Okay, Bryan, did you find any good answers?
I found a lot of answers of a lot of shows that I don't know.
Okay, well,
I saw one that said fruit baskets, and I said, "Is that about grocery shopping?"
It's kind of like grocery shop. No, it is nothing like grocery shop.
Well, if we're speaking of fruit baskets, in terms of the the nether regions, then yes, it is about grocery shopping.
Fruits Basket is a game. Just saying. It's a game that you play. It's like musical chairs.
I think we're talking about two totally different things here, because I know there's a Fruits Basket anime.
Yes, and it's titled like the title is named after this game that you play. They mention it in the anime.
Well, I've never seen the anime, so I wouldn't know.
I'm just saying that's what it's named after. And who brought up Fruits Basket?
That'd be Tiffany.
Tiffany brought up Fruits Basket. What did she say? Where did I lost it? Oh God, I'm so sorry. Tiffany,
I have it in here. If you want me to say it?
Oh.
They don't get me wrong. I love the original anime, but I would really want to see a lot closer to the manga. It's classic, so a remake would be a great way to expand the story and the franchise.
Yes, 1,000,000 times yes, because the show is still popular, and it's still very marketable. There's a lot of marketing you can do with it, a lot of like toys you can make and stuff. And it was really short and didn't even get to all of the characters. And the manga is so long and so convoluted and complex with all these wonderful characters, and they left out like half of them. And a continuation or remake and reanimation of Fruits Basket would be wonderful.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, I've got an answer here. This one is from our friend PD, and he says Black Cat. Whilst it wasn't the greatest shonen series, it was a fun, lighthearted action series that didn't take itself too seriously and had an interesting cast of characters that grew over time. The anime, on the other hand, decided to try and make the story as serious as possible and rush through the story of manga, whilst paradoxically padding the story with original filler content that didn't match the original tone at all. Trigun did kind of the same thing. It was out kind of light and happy and then went into dark, serious town about a third of the way through. So, okay, yeah, all right, I kind of see that. This all culminated with the character of Seiya being reduced to from seemingly nutty Genki girl, and the protagonist trained starting with a grim antisocial brooder personality before switching to his goofy manga personality halfway through in a manner that's just as harsh as it sounds. In short, the new direction didn't really work, and I think a closer adaptation would work better. Okay, all right, so, all right, Kat, were there any other answers that you really liked?
I mean, there was other answers, but they were all pretty short.
Okay.
It was just like, hey, Claymore should be remade because that ending sucked. And hey, iShield 21 was kind of lame. And I'm like, that's okay. Okay, sure.
Okay. All right. Well, Okay, next one's a fun one. Number 6. What franchise would you like to see go away? And everybody get their helmets on because this one's gonna spark some debate. So, Bryan, let's start with you on this one. What's a franchise you'd like to see go away?
As much as I like it and I do enjoy it, The Walking Dead is starting to get to the point where I'm kind of sick of seeing it everywhere. You know, when you make a Walking Dead the Monopoly game or the Risk game, I feel like maybe you should start pulling this back.
Dude, everything has a Monopoly game. We have a Monopoly game. Granted, it's one I made myself in my basement in my spare time, but hey!
Too much information.
What a sad, lonely person you are.
But yeah, again, this is not because it's bad, but because it just sort of exploded and got everywhere. I feel like you can maybe take a small sabbatical, just for a little bit, and then you can come back and I'll start enjoying you really again. But this it got really popular really quick, and now I hate it. Like that's what this is.
And yet we still see Star Wars stuff everywhere, and you say not a word.
No, I say a lot of things about the Star Wars stuff, just not to you guys.
Okay. Kat, what about you? What's a franchise you'd like to see go away?
Oh, God, this isn't a franchise so much as a genre, but I'm kind of tired of the like the YA books that keep getting made into movies, like bad movies at that. And I shouldn't say this because I've watched many of these, these young adult movies, or young adult books getting made into movies, a la Hunger Games. But like, let's stop it with the supernatural ones. Can we at least agree that Twilight sort of ruined it for everybody, and that we need to scale back on the supernatural shit?
Unless it's an actual movie of supernatural, in which case proceed.
Exactly. Although honestly,
I was being heavily sarcastic right there.
Supernatural, yeah. Supernatural is a franchise that I love it very, very much, but it's past its prime by like 4 seasons.
Time to take it behind the shed and shoot it.
And then salt and burn the bones. Sorry. Anyway.
That was a supernatural reference. I got that.
It was definitely supernatural.
Bryan just had a Captain America moment. I got it. I got that reference.
Well, yeah, because I don't watch Supernatural, but apparently it's on Tumblr all the fucking time.
Yes. Because of Super Hulock.
Which is a thing?
It's a thing.
But not one that we will discuss here.
It's Super Hulock.
Okay. Franchise I would like to see go away. You know, if I could just set a bomb off under the foundation of the building where EA Sports games are made, I would serve my prison time with a smile on my face and no regrets.
Seems a little bit on the extreme side.
People will die.
It is. Sacrifices have to be made. But no, like EA Sports is just like to me, it is a poison on the video game industry because literally all it is, like, okay, I'll give this year's EA Sports games a pass because we're going into a new console generation, and okay, I'll give this year a pass. New console generation, you get all new. You're allowed to make another game for a new console generation. I'll give you that. But after that, there's literally nothing in a new EA Sports game that you cannot get through DLC or through a patch. And yet every year there's a new $60 Madden NFL game that is literally nothing but the players been swapped around, some stats been changed to reflect the previous season, and you're basically paying $60 for what essentially amounts to an update from version 1 to version 1.001. And it fucking infuriates me. I want to just... Every time one of these games come out, I have to physically restrain myself from waiting outside GameStop with a baseball bat and just braining everybody who walks out with a copy of Madden NFL. It just drives me fucking insane, and I wish EA Sports would just go the fuck away.
Have you tried yoga to work on this anger?
I don't know! It seems to be fucking killing you!
Listen,
I've seen your Facebook posts!
Yes, but I feel healthy, and DDP will get me to a new healthy area. But Dan Davis also. Now, one of my answers was that he also wanted the EA Sports to be not forever, but they definitely need to go away for a very, very long time. And also every franchise that we love because he's a jerk.
Well, at least he's honest about it.
He's honest about it.
I tell you what, Cars has been a popular punching bag this time around. My God, we've got like 9 or 10 people saying they don't like Cars.
Well, because it's sort of like first Cars, it's kind of Cars. Second Cars, it's still here. Planes, okay, Planes
What?
2.
What?
What is going on here?
God is dead.
God is dead.
And now they got another one coming out. It's about it's another spin. I don't know if you've seen this, but I saw.
It better be called fucking Trains.
No, it's I saw the trailer for this when I went to go see Frozen. It's about like a rescue team in the middle of the woods, and it stars like a fire marshal helicopter, a jeep, and like a little like dune buggy thing. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Toys.
Why? Why do we
Toys.
need
The movie.
We saw that when we went to see the Lego movie with my friends, and my friend Kat, when the scene showed up with the helicopter sitting solemnly on top of a mountain as the lightning passes by, all dramatic, she laughed out loud, and we got stares.
I'm just like, why? Why do we need this? Like, if I were an actual like rescue worker, I would feel fucking insulted by this movie. But that's just me. But Cars was a pretty popular punching bag. Let's see. I got one here, and I'm glad that Skyblaze didn't make this recording because this would kind of send her up the wall, I feel. Alea wants to see Sonic go away. She writes, as an old fan, I'm tired of seeing his disgraced corpse paraded around town. And I'm just like, I want, here's the thing, like, I'm a big Sonic fan, I'm a Sonic fan too. I want to protest this, because I've been with Sonic from the Genesis days, so I kind of grew up with him. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, it's done. He needs to kind of take a rest now. Like, I love the analogy that Yahtzee did in one of his reviews for one of the Sonic games. I can't remember if it was Sonic Unleashed or Sonic Generations, but he likened Sonic to an aging rock star who's past his prime and who comes out on stage and just falls asleep and he's got the Coke line under his nose. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much where Sonic is right now. Although I don't know, maybe the Sonic Boom reboot will reinvigorate the franchise, but yeah, Sonic has not been treated well over the last few years.
It reinvigorated Knuckles. The man's fucking huge. Knuckles in that game is now gigantic.
Okay, okay, what about you guys? Did you guys find any answers you really liked?
I do have one from Bryan here. I like this a lot, actually. Because what franchise would you like to see go away? The Thing movies, parodies, and their ilk.
Oh, God.
Great use of the word ilk there. I'm giving him 5 bonus points.
Oh, God. You know what? Of all those movies, Meet the Spartans is the one that I have a special loathing for.
Well, but he has this great write-up. Goes, actual parodies take forethought and understanding of what you're trying to crack, and has at least some degree of timelessness. These films simply ape what is recently, or eat when they recently, sometimes before things are even released, and they try to coast on short-term gains and humor, which is exactly what's going on. But I'll tell you some good news. Because I work in a media department, I have noticed that a lot of these parody movies have stopped being released in theaters and have gone straight to like DVD releases, which is the next step to being just flat out gone altogether.
Oh man, Meet the Spartans. Oh my God, Meet the Spartans ended a relationship for me.
Yeah, we've heard.
Yeah. And now I've made, ever since then, I've made it a life policy. I'm sorry, I can't be with anyone who likes Meet the Spartans or any of those movies. I'm sorry. I gotta have standards. I can't put my dick in that. I'm sorry. And I'm gonna get 1,000 angry feminist letters now for that crack. But I'm sorry.
I'm gonna send you one right now because I'm writing it. Dear Dr. Gonzo, what the fuck?
But no, those movies need to go away, man. Just God.
Yeah, I agree.
And I've been dragged to 2 of them. A later girlfriend dragged me to go see Vampires Suck.
But that, I feel like, you know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I feel like the second time's on your end.
Here's one from our friend Bima, who was very vocal on this one. He says all of them, but especially Final Fantasy, Tolkien, Rowling, so basically Harry Potter, Hunger Games, basically anything young adult. I gotta be honest. I think we're being really unfair to the adolescent community with these repeated slams on their literature. Because it's like, think about a lot of the young adult stuff that we read growing up. Was our stuff really that much better?
No.
Well, it seems how there's a Goosebumps movie coming out very soon. I'm going to find out real quick.
What?
Yeah. There's going to be
was I hallucinating? Did I hear that? You heard that too, Kat, right?
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't hear anything.
I hear a Goosebumps movie.
Maybe, yeah.
Oh God, what is this? Which one is it? Is it Night of the Living Dummy?
I have no idea. All I've heard is just John will probably have more information, but he's not here. But all I know is that one's being made. I'm like, oh, cool. That's my era. Then I remembered my era, going, ooh.
Ooh. I'm so old.
I'm betting money now. It's either going to be Night of the Living Dummy, The Haunted Mask, or Monster Blood.
Watch it going to be one of those weird Tales from the Crypt movies where they try to or Creep Show where they try to 3 or 4 movies together, an anthology.
Now I'll tell you what, the franchise needs to come back. Motherfucking Crypt Keeper. That was my shit back in the day. That and Elvira. Oh my God.
But anyway.
I loved Elvira. Anyway, okay. Other answers here that are really good.
Hey, Peter B says Superman.
Ooh.
Superman is literally unstoppable, unchanging God, and you can't even invest in him as much as other heroes because you know he's going to win every single battle he's in.
Bryan, your rebuttal.
That's every sort of superhero story. You always kind of know the good guy's going to win, unless they're going to Empire Strikes Back a movie.
I don't know. After the rant you went on Man of Steel, your response here seems a little disingenuous.
Well, my rant of Man of Steel, I don't know if I ranted on Man of Steel.
You ranted. Trust us, you ranted.
Well, fine. Me. That was also last year. And times change, and I always overthink my positions and change 5 different times before changing again. But I like Superman. I always root for Superman. Superman's always been around for me, so... the problem, he always brings up a point a lot of people bring up, is that Superman is kind of a god. He can kind of do everything. What's the point? So I can sort of see that, but whenever we try to depower him, then the fans get upset that we depower him. So, unfortunately, Superman is in the point where he can't win, and I feel sorry for him.
Ooh, here's one that John will like from Phil Grady. It's not so much a franchise, but a convention. He would really like to see 3D go away.
Yeah,
Yes.
I wouldn't mind 3D kind of taking a backseat again for another 40 years.
Yeah, it was cool in the 70s, and it was cool for a little bit in the late 2000s, but now it's kind of overdone. I really don't want to pay $6 extra dollars for a movie ticket to get clunky glasses that I'm not even going to get to keep. So, okay.
Now you can actually pay for your 3D glasses before you go, depending on the franchise, and then you get to keep them if you want.
Yeah, and I've started seeing they're actually now you can get real high quality 3D glasses from Tiger Direct or Newegg, and those things, those are one of those things where if you buy one of those, how much of a fucking rich asshat do you have to be to blow that much money on something that fucking pointless? Because they're some $200-$300 glasses here. I'm not fucking kidding. Do a Google search, you'll fucking find them. They're multi-$100 3D glasses, and I'm just like, how much of a fucking douchebag do you have to be? I mean, if you're out on a date with a girl and you're going to see a 3D movie, and you go, oh no, I don't need glasses, I've already got my own. Dude, you deserve every kick to the nuts that she gives you for that, because you're a fucking asshat, and I don't want to have anything to do with you.
People watch 3D at home too, don't forget.
Yeah.
Okay, I amend my statement. If you buy the glasses and you leave them at home, okay, fine, you get a pass. But you take those fuckers out to the cinema, no, you need an ass beating.
What if they're really good? What if they're the un-3D glasses that Geek used to sell? Where they would make it just a 2D picture.
Oh, great. I already have a set of those. They're prescription, too, asshole. All right, next question is my personal favorite of this list. Number 7. What was the greatest video game console ever made? Super Nintendo, hands down. I'm sorry, whatever answer you have, unless it's Super Nintendo, you are wrong.
Sega Dreamcast.
A worthy contender, I will grant, but no, not superior to the Super Nintendo. I'm sorry.
Oh, come on! You have to give more than just a no to my challenge.
Super Nintendo had fucking A Link to the Past, Final Fantasy III, Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars. Wrote the book on modern consoles, the Super Nintendo did.
Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Jet Set Radio, Sonic Adventure. Also the first console to even attempt to do multi-browsing online. Now, I will bring this up because it'll probably show up in the comments or anything like that. The controller wasn't the best. The cord was on the wrong side. And it was a little bit big. But our memory cartridges were also games.
You know what? Here's the thing. Like people shit talk the Dreamcast controllers and like the original Xbox controller, the real big one. Here's the thing. I love those controllers. I thought the Dreamcast controller was really fucking comfortable.
Dude, I think so as well, but I will admit the cord is on the wrong side.
And you know what I think is? I think you like it for the same reason that I do. I've got big, meaty man hands, and so I need something large to hold on to when I'm playing my video games. Because like I don't know if anybody remembers like the original Xbox controller, like the really big fucker that's classified as a weapon in 12 states and parts of Canada. But like I had no problem with that controller. I loved it. So I don't know, maybe that's just me, but no, I
didn't play a lot on the original Xbox, so I really can't say. My brother had it, I did not. Also, the Sega Dreamcast holds a close for me is because that was actually the first console I bought. Like all the consoles that came before were gifts usually to my brother, or maybe my brother bought it and I sort of borrowed it and played off of them. But I went out and said I want a Sega Dreamcast, and I actually bought it with my own money. So there's always a connection when you do something like that. And then there was a couple of answers that actually said that because like it was the first one I bought, and like that makes sense because it's more personal.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay, that makes sense. Although, I will counter your claim of the first console to attempt online connectivity by saying, look up the Satellaview for the Super Nintendo.
Satellaview? I'm not even sure I know what that is. My God!
It was an add-on for the Super Famicom in Japan that actually, it pretty much streamed games to your console. I'm not making this up. Look it up. If I'm lying, I'm dying. Kat, what's your answer, if you have one?
The PS3, because that's what I've got. It's such a good Blu-ray player.
There is
I'm gonna
no...
get bricked in the parking lot, I swear.
Well, I hope not.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, let's see what the fans have written. If I can find my questions again. Here we go. All right. Okay. So, greatest console ever made here. All right, let's see. First off from Jason. He wrote the Nintendo NES because not only did it have a variety of games, but it also single-handedly responsible for reviving the gaming market from the 80s video game crash. Upon its shoulders was built the gaming world we have today. You know, that's a damn good answer. I like that answer. That is because it's pretty much true. I mean, we had the Atari, the great crash of '83, and then along comes the Nintendo and rebuilding the entire industry. Okay, that's a good one. Bryan, did you find any that you liked?
Yeah, Peter actually brought up something kind of interesting because it's a real recent Here's the thing: I'm not even sure what you call it console, but he says the 3DS. It's got internet access. It's got the Street Pass, the good control scheme, Pokemon, of course, and Kid Icarus Uprising, which also needs a sequel, in his opinion. That's kind of... I like this answer, and I sort of pick it out because I think it might have been one of the few that mentioned handhelds. Because the 3DS is almost its own beast now. Like, yeah, you have the Wii U, but then people are like, well, 3DS. I have a 3DS. That guy's a 3DS. That person is a 3DS. Like, everyone has sort of gotten on the idea that gaming can be mobile, and the 3DS sort of like even boosted that even more, much to the chagrin of PlayStation and their Vita.
That's a song that's been sung since the days of the Game Boy, my friend.
Sure enough, but I think this is sort of a good example. I don't know if it's the best ever. I might not agree with that, but I like that he sort of thought outside of the box.
Okay, all right, I can get with that. Let's see here now. Okay, this one comes from Claire, and she writes that it's hard to decide because she hasn't had many game consoles, but for her, and for a personal reason, it will probably be the PlayStation 1, and only because it's the first one that was truly hers, and she could play dance games on it. Okay, I can get with that. All right, cool. Let's see. And then what's his name here? And then Ashley, she votes for the N64. Also because it was her first ever console. But you go back and you look at the Nintendo 64 library, the ratio of it was a console of extremes. There were no average games for the N64. They were either awesome, amazing AAA games, or they were total crap. And thankfully, the ratio of good games to crap was leaning very heavily in the good games direction. But like you hear people talk about about N64 games, they're either the most amazing thing that ever came out, or they're total shit. You ever notice that?
It's exactly like I kind of noticed that a while ago when I started trying to get more games from the used game store here, because I like to talk to the people in there, and you hear what's like, don't get that one, that's shit. It's like, is that why it's only 50 cents? Yes. Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Dan writes the PlayStation 2, another strong contender. And I think that one actually right now holds the record for the most games published on it.
I think so. I saw PlayStation 2. I know Jake, one of our other friends, one of our fans, brought PlayStation 2 up. That one, like, I still have my PlayStation 2 somewhere. But yeah, because that lifespan seemed forever almost.
And
like they only stopped
making games for it.
Yeah, they stopped production of the machine only like a couple years ago, right?
Yeah. And it was a big newsworthy thing too. It was like the end of an era. Like, they're not making PlayStation 2s anymore, but where will we buy our PlayStation 2s? Everyone has it already.
Yeah, we all have one. Oh.
I think that's the only console that I can think of where they stopped making them because everyone already had them.
Yeah, had to wait for a new generation to get enough money.
Yeah, I know. All right, let's see. I had a good answer here. All right, oh shit, I jumped all the way back up to the top of the... Oh no, I'm down here. All right, okay, and PD writes that it's a tie between the Game Boy Advance and the DS. The vast selection of titles on these systems is impressive in itself, but it also brought new life into Nintendo, not only bringing new life into Nintendo's franchises, but giving a new level of polish to Pokemon, or finally bringing Fire Emblem to the West, but also gave birth to new franchises and unique games such as Ace Attorney, Golden Sun, Hotel Dusk, and many others. I would just lump the whole Game Boy line in that answer. Which, funny story, the 25th anniversary of the Game Boy was actually a couple weeks ago, as we record this, April 21st.
Oh wow! Yeah, congratulations!
So,
happy birthday, I guess.
Okay, let's see. Okay, here's one from Tiffany, who we haven't really we haven't read a lot of her answers for this episode. She writes she's a PC gamer, so she's biased that she believes the PC is the most versatile and creative way to game.
She's part of the glorious PC gaming master race.
Yes.
We were just the lowly gaming consoles.
What do you mean we, Kimasabi? I built my own gaming rig, thank you very much.
Well, congratulations. The most PC gaming I play is Minecraft.
I do all kinds of games. Let's see. Jake writes PlayStation 2 because he adores the games that are on it, most of which are JRPGs like Persona or the Atelier Iris series. I've actually never played any of the Persona games. Everybody tells me I should, and yet I've just never gotten around to it. I don't know. I've kind of fallen out of favor with JRPGs in general. Let's see. Miko writes Super Nintendo. Thank you, sir. You are my brother. And that's about all the ones we got here. A lot. We got a lot of the same answers. A lot of PlayStations, a lot of NESs, a lot of Super Nintendos. We did get one guy. I'm pretty sure he was trolling us. But we did get one guy who wrote in saying he was the Virtual Boy.
You're funny.
So yes, that's that question. So, all right. So next question. This is another one I'm sure is going to spark some real debate here. What character in an anime / movie / TV show / game / baked good did you start off hating and then later like?
Baked good?
Well, we're listing everything else under the sun. I figure why the hell not?
Fruits baskets.
But Kat, why don't we start with you?
Ah, yes. Well, this question was crafted solely so I could talk about Game of Thrones. So let's talk about Game of Thrones. I think my favorite character right now, who I really just started off just terribly hating, was Sandor Clegane, aka the Hound, because he's just this bastard who, like, within the first couple of episodes, murders a child, and that's pretty fucked up. And I think it's by the end of season 2 where you kind of start to see, like, the good side of him, where he's very protective and you know, like, slightly more honorable than other people in a show where everybody is about honor, but everybody's an asshole. And pretty much starting with, and we're on season 4 now, season 4 is just dedicated to making him look badass and awesome and fun, and he's off with Arya Stark going on adventures and eating chicken, and you're like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. How did I never love this character before? I think I fell in love with him at what was it? Oh, if you die with a clean sword, I'll rape your fucking corpse. I think that's when I fell in love.
Wow. Now I'm glad you never went out, because damn, you're into some fucked up shit.
Oh god, he's just such a great character. He has all this amazing badass dialogue. It's so great. And then the other character who obviously just about everybody who's watched Game of Thrones has gone through, start off hating, get to like later, is Jaime Lannister, who obviously is this incestuous braggart with the perfect hair, who everyone's like, God, what a douche. And then he spends some time in prison, and he's seen some shit, and he changes a lot, and it's so wonderful, especially in the more recent episodes where he finally gets back to his sister, and you can definitely see that he's changed and she really hasn't, and he can't really deal with that anymore. And it's just, there's such great character development with those two characters, and it's just wonderful to like these guys now.
Okay. Bryan, what about you?
You know, there's a character I despised for a long period of time, but started enjoying up now is Guy Gardner from the Green Lanterns. Because when Guy Gardner first gets introduced, he's a dick. I mean, he's a dick. And for the longest period of time, he was just a dick. But then through like several inclinations, and mostly through Justice League International, you started to sort of like him, because even though he's a huge dick, he has a real good heart, like deep down. So he's a dick you like to have on your side. He's not stopped being a dick, though.
Yeah, Guy Gardner, he's one of those characters like, look, Guardians of Oa, I know you're infallible and all that, but are you sure you didn't make a mistake with this guy?
He's probably looking and going, no, they made a mistake, but I'm not giving the ring back, because I'm a dick.
I'll tell you a character that I really didn't like, but I've grown to love across, but because it's across mediums, and that's Iron Man. Because when I started getting into the Marvel comic scene real big, it was again when I was working at the comic book store, and about the time that I was there, that was when the Civil War was going in full swing, and I fucking hated Iron Man. He was just such a fucking prick in that whole arc. He would talk, whenever he talked about the Superhuman Registration Act, he was always talking about, oh, you know, holding people accountable and, making sure we're protecting the people properly, but all I heard was douche, 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 douche. I'm a douche, 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 douche. Look at my hair. I'm a douche, 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 douche. I slept with She-Hulk, douche. Really fucking hated Iron Man, and it was actually, my hatred was so great that I almost didn't see the Iron Man movie when it came out in theaters. And then I went to go see the movie, and yeah, some of the douchiness was still there, but now it was kind of justified. It was all about Tony growing from being a douche to not being a douche. And so I've come to really like Iron Man in the movies. I don't know if he's still a douche in the comics, but I love Tony Stark in the movie. So, Kat, did you find any answers that you really liked?
Yes. Okay, so Tiffany says, when I first started watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I really couldn't stand Xander, and for a couple seasons I couldn't enjoy his storylines or antics, but from season 4 onward, as he matured as a character, I began to enjoy his storylines and was able to relate to his character and conflicts much more than I was able to earlier in the show. Yes, kinda, yeah. I think I flip-flop with Xander quite a bit, because I like him, and then occasionally he annoys me, and there's some of his drama with Anya later that I really just don't care about. But, like, otherwise, I could totally see where Xander kind of comes off as being annoying and not really important. But, God, he has a lot of character development.
Okay, all right. Bryan, what about you? Any answers that you particularly liked?
Yeah, that one that she just said.
Oh, sorry!
No, that's perfectly fine. That's okay. Your turn, Gonzo. I'm gonna go over here now.
I apologize to the world.
Okay. Well, here's an answer I'm surprised Kat didn't pick. It's from Phil, and he writes, Prince Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
That was going to be my second answer.
He had one of the best antagonist to protagonist roles of any series I've ever seen on frickin' Nickelodeon, no less. I went from hating him and even finding him annoying at times to feeling sorry for and empathizing with him to downright rooting for him, even though previously he'd set fire to our other heroes.
It's so true.
Yeah, because like that's normally not something you can get past. Hi, I set fire to you. Can I join you now?
You kind of burned down my village. Oh, sorry about that. Nice to see you again. Actual dialogue, guys.
The scene that sticks out in my mind is where he's like rehearsing what he's going to say. It's like, "Hi, Zuko here," and like, okay, are you asking to join a team, or are you auditioning for the 98 Rock Morning Show?
And the fact that he's so terrible at it, he gets pissed off because he's terrible at it. And he starts like thinking, well, what would Iroh say? And then he does his Iroh voice and his Iroh logic. He's like, what would my sister say?
I'm crazy. She needs to go down. That's my favorite line. It's like, you want me to get back and work with your sister? No, she's crazy. She needs to go down.
Okay. All right. Bryan, did you find another answer that you really liked?
I mean, there's a couple of good ones, but a lot of them from like series I'm not really familiar with. I saw one from like Stargate. I saw someone mention the Cutie Mark Crusaders, which I still haven't turned the corner with them yet.
Yeah.
As my one joke, Sweetie Belle's the backhand of God.
Sweetie Belle is much, much better after you go on the YouTube and watch Friendship is Witchcraft, where Sweetie Belle is Sweetie Bot. It has like this like dude robot voice, and it's the most amazing thing. Like, I can't take Sweetie Belle seriously.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. I feel like I've let everyone down here.
Okay, here's one. This one is from Claire, and different Claire from before. She writes, Piers from Young Dracula, a CBBC show about the son of Count Dracula. Hated him in his first episode in Series 5 when he blackmailed Ingrid, the daughter of Count Dracula, into going on a date with him and stop her biting him, or all the names of every vampire in the world would be exposed. And for not being Will, Ingrid's last human-turned-vampire boyfriend. Then by episode 11 of Series 5, when he went running into a maze of secret passages to rescue Ingrid, I started to like him. I have never seen Young Dracula, so I will have to take your word for it. Let's see here now. Cutie Mark Crusaders, already done that one here. Let's see. Ashley didn't answer that question. Let's see. Dan writes, Marcus from Digimon Data Squad. He doesn't elaborate on that, so again, I'll have to take his word for it. A couple more here. Oh, here's one from PD. He writes, he writes, for me, it's Zelos Wilder from the RPG Tales of Symphonia. When I first saw him, Zelos seemed to be yet another anime pervert who would constantly chat up women and hardly take anything seriously. A cliche that I'd become tired of, even with the small amount of anime knowledge I had at the time. And the fact that he was there to replace a certain member of the party didn't really help either. However, as time goes on and you learn more about his backstory through side quests or alternate paths in the story, you find out that his carefree, womanizing personality is mostly a mask, and he is in fact the most cynical person in your party. A lifetime of constant pressure, death threats, separation from family, power struggles, and everything that comes with the title Chosen One has taken such a great toll on him that he admits that there have been times when he just wants it all to end. Okay, I'd say that sounds like a pretty fascinating story arc. I actually have Tales of Symphonia laying around somewhere. I'll have to see if I can't dig it up.
Dude, that sounds intense.
I know.
Damn.
Here's one from Peter. He writes, don't have anyone like that, but I can tell you who I liked at first and started to hate later on, Katniss Everdeen. I started hating her at the end of Catching Fire, and I hated her guts ever since. She's a dense, depressing, and over-medicated bitch with a bad case of tunnel vision. I'm just glad there are other characters who had better sense than she did, otherwise I would have hated the Hunger Games series as a whole. Now, I haven't finished Catching Fire yet, so I'm going to have to take all this with a grain of salt here, because I don't know.
Question. Over-medicated?
Well, that's kind of where I'm like, I don't remember her being on a lot of medication.
Now,
was I over-medicated?
I remember Haymitch being over-medicated.
That's kind of his defining trait, and we love it.
Okay, well, I'll take your word from that. Let's see.
Like, in the books, Katniss starts to kind of go insane. Like, she gets, like, quite a bit of, like, PTSD from the games, and she's just, like, losing her mind, like, throughout the story. And so I can get where a lot of people start to find her pretty annoying, because she's the one that they're allowing to make very important decisions, and she's slowly going insane. And these are not things that should happen. And it's slightly, but the problem is that the more competent people are all kind of like, I don't want to say evil, but they're kind of self-serving.
Morally ambiguous.
Yeah, to the point where most of them die. Kind of like the whole cast.
Okay. Here's one for you, Bryan. Bima writes, Daniel Bryan in WWE. I went from thinking he was a boring tool smaller than a ref with less charisma to being a total fanboy and loving everything he did.
Okay, see, this is, I gotta tell a lot of wrestling fans, you gotta start watching independent stuff. Because I knew about Daniel Bryan. I saw Daniel Bryan live in a hotel ballroom once. Like, if you followed his career, you know that guy was gonna go places. Like, you gotta start spreading it out into the independents a little bit. That's just me.
Let's see, and Jake here writes, Rodney McKay from the Stargate franchise. I couldn't stand him when he first showed up in Season 5 of SG-1, and after appearances again in Season 6 and 7, as well as being a main character on Atlantis, I started enjoying him a lot more to the point where he became one of my favorite characters. You know, I think that's something I kind of noticed with these kind of characters, is that is you take characters as a side character in one story, and then you put them in as the main character in another arc, the personality tends to shift rapidly. You ever notice that?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know. I don't understand why, but it's just because they're the main character now, they have to have them act a certain way. I don't know.
Okay. Miko gives a really good one. He says, Rydia from Final Fantasy IV. Having a character go from a whiny child to a mature adult will always make me like a character more, especially if she comes back in an epic and unexpected moment to save the party. Still a weak example, as I never really hated the child Rydia, I only slightly disliked her. Well, no, that's a good answer, because Rydia, like, just... Even from a strategic standpoint, Rydia was fucking useless. I was glad when she disappeared. Then she came back as an adult. It's like, oh, shit, she's a heavy hitter now. She goes in the front line of my party. All the experience goes to her.
She rules. She wins.
Yep, that's it. She can summon Bahamut. She wins. Okay. Next question. Yeah, we're coming down on the home stretch here. Question 9. What properties would you like to see made into a comic or manga? So, Bryan, let's start with you.
You know what's so sad? Most of the stuff I usually watched or read about eventually has become a comic now. Like, there's so many licensed products out. It's not even funny. But I don't know. So like literally like almost everything I would say would be a comic or even a manga now. Though, you know what needs to probably come back? We need a little bit more, I say, horror-ish. I would like to see if they could. I'm not sure how long they could last. Possibly Freddy Krueger. Maybe have like a mini series of him. It might just fuck it.
Didn't he have one back in the 2000s?
I don't know. He never had. Well, he showed up in the Jason versus Ash versus Freddy comics. I don't think he ever had one by himself. Fuck. Michael Myers actually had a comic by himself for a while. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah. It was, like, I have never read it, but I know it existed. I would like to see something like that.
Pride. Like,
well,
it
is
that?
kind of a point of pride. It is. I'm trying to put some nerd cred out there. All right. I need all I need.
All right. I'll tell you something I would love to see. I would love to see a manga take on Doctor Who. I think that would be just really interesting to see. Like, I would love to see like a Hayao Miyazaki animated Doctor Who film. That would be just. I think it would be. I think a mind that creative with a premise that has as limitless possibilities as Doctor Who does, I think he would be able to do something really special with it. But, you know, I know Kat probably hates my guts now for saying that, but there it is. That's my answer.
Well, no, because, like, Doctor Who is one of the obvious answers because you could do so much. I was actually just thinking in a very similar vein, it would actually be really cool to see a manga of Harry Potter. No, not like like the characters in Harry Potter, but like an expanded universe of Harry Potter. So like kind of like how they're making a movie based off of one of the textbooks in Harry Potter. Something like that. You know, other characters who, you know, never really appeared in the books, or a different time period in the wizard world. Something like that I think would be pretty cool.
You know, speaking of Harry Potter, I just want to ask, did you know you can take online classes at Hogwarts now?
I did know that. I saw that, and I haven't had any time to go look it up and see, because I hear it's really time consuming.
So like going to actual school.
Yeah, it's literally taking Hogwarts classes online. You have to turn in homework that gets graded. I don't know if you have to pay tuition, but if you do, my God, let's just no. I will spend my money on other things like Uber Pimp PC systems. But anyway, well, let's see what I already gave my answer. We've all given our answers. So now let's go to the emails here. So, Kat, did you find any answers that you particularly liked?
Yeah, Dan Davis says Disney's brave. I would love to see more interaction between those characters in that landscape. That would have to be made into like a comic or something, because manga tends to almost always be in black and white. And to see that in like a full color comic would just be amazing.
Yeah, because that movie did sort of just kind of end. It's like things have kind of changed.
Kinda.
Goodbye. Yeah, like, goodbye.
There's
what?
so much you could do with it. It's really got a lot of really good possibilities that I can't believe they haven't made into a sequel yet. But it's so beautiful. And if you could put that into comic, you know, like a really, really well done comic, that would be really great.
Well, if I can, I feel like we're picking on poor Bima here, but he has an answer that I'm going to point out and maybe critique a little bit. But he says, professional wrestling. Every Raw should have a comic book that goes with it. Raw is the Monday night professional wrestling show. It's a bunch of colorful characters, over-the-top masculine drama, multiple running storylines that intertwine allies and enemies. It's perfect fit. Now, I'm going to tell everyone here real quick. They've attempted several times to take wrestling characters and wrestling in general into comics. They're all kind of terrible. I like the enthusiasm, but maybe that's not the right medium for professional wrestling.
Okay.
He also adds in or that or just Gamera. I can see Gamera. Gamera Godzilla crossover could finally happen.
Fuck yeah. Let's see. Tiffany writes, it'd be interesting to see a comic spinoff of American Horror Story. I'm gonna have to agree to disagree with you there. I never liked American Horror Story because I think everybody in it is horrible, a horrible person. But that's just me. I mean, but I don't know. Maybe I guess it could work. I mean, the seasons are already serialized stories. So I guess I suppose it could work. I could see it happen.
The visuals would be really awesome.
And really fucked up.
Yeah, like American Horror Story as a manga would be terrifying.
Okay, Kat, did you find any other answers you liked?
Yeah, Tim Murphy wants to see a comic or manga version of Once Upon a Time. Oh, God. It was such a long answer. I'm trying to sift through some of it. I just see a lot of potential for stories that could be told in comic books that the show may not be able to and visit worlds they could not on the show's budget. So, yes, a million times yes. This is a show that's entirely comprised of fairy tales. So, I mean, it would translate so well over to comic books. It's a lot of material that we're already familiar with, and you would run maybe some problems with possible copyright issues, but and seeming too close to other things that have also been inspired by fairy tales. But this would be wonderful.
There was a headline, I think last year, that they said they were going to Marvel was going to actually produce one. But here we are, a year plus later, and nothing's come of it yet. So I don't know what happened.
That would be awesome.
Okay. Bryan, any other answers you like?
Yes, PD. Oh, this would be amazing. Megas XLR.
Ooh.
The crazy plots, the intense action, and the visual humor would work very well in the medium of comics. And frankly, I want to see the series continue in one form or another. And maybe if it got really popular, it would come back and we'd have Stephen Bloom's voice again.
I would spill the blood of a dozen men to see a Megas XLR
What?
comic.
You are being very violent tonight. You are. I'm gonna blow up EA. I'm gonna kill 100 men. Jesus. You sure you don't need yoga?
I have demons, Bryan. I have demons. Okay. Okay, well, Alea gives us a laundry list of various properties that she'd like to see done as a comic or manga, including Jubei-chan, Secret of the Lovely Eye Patch.
Yes.
The sequel can go fuck itself. Magical Play, Nightwalker, I No Kusabi, Mirage of the Blaze, Mosquito 99, a series of unfortunate
Hey, it's
events.
Mosquiton, not mosquito. It's big difference between a tiny little bug and a vampire. Just saying.
Okay, Mosquiton 99, a series of unfortunate events, Gone with the Wind, Harry Potter, Clue. Although she specifies that it would be based on the 90s book series based on the game, and goddamn, that makes me feel old because I read those books as a kid.
Oh my god.
Real Ghostbusters, and she says Adventure Time. Well, good news! There's already an Adventure Time comic, and it's published by IDW.
But maybe there could be a manga.
Actually, it's Boom Studios,
Okay, Boom Studios.
and they kind of have mangas.
Wait.
They do have. I don't think they call them mangas. They call them OGNs, but they're kind of like a manga.
Oh.
I'm full of information today.
For Adventure Time?
Yes,
How does that work?
very easily. Hey, you there? Do you have an Adventure Time story? Yes, I do. Can you write it for me? Sure. Do you have an artist? Yes. Ta-da!
Well, all right then. Okay.
That's the most easiest way to explain how comics work.
Okay. And let's see. Peter writes, for last one for this question, he writes, hard to say. Most of the good anime I like already has a manga counterpart, but if I had to pick, I'd definitely like to see an original Legend of Zelda story, one not necessarily based off a particular Zelda game, but could fit into the Legend of Zelda mythos. I could get behind this because there are manga out of the Legend of Zelda, for Legend of Zelda, but each arc is based on one of the games. And there might be like a side story, like one tells like the origin of Majora's Mask or something like that. I could, yeah, I'd be interested to see an original Zelda story. That'd be cool. All right, and the last question is the grab bag question. What kind of merchandise do you collect? And if you buy figures, do you prefer posable or sculpted statues? Bryan, let's start with you. You strike me as the big collector among us.
I do have a small. I actually have a large collection, but it's really mishmashed of a lot of different things. I've got some Transformer figures. I've got some GI Joe figures, mostly the ones I got at San Diego Comic-Con. I have one model kit that I randomly found at my parents' house. We didn't know whose it was. I took it home and built it. End of that story. I have a small collection of luchador masks. So I just have a lot of collections of different sort of stuff, as my mother would call crap. So I don't lean either way to what either like plastics or figures. I just do sort of collect stuff. It might be unhealthy. I'm probably going to end up on hoarders.
You and half the nerds on the planet. All right, Kat, what about you? What do you collect?
Oh God, everything. My pride is my figurine collection, so I go with the sculpted and not the posable. I do have a couple of posable like action figures, and those are typically like the American cheaper than buying a lot of other stuff. And plushies. I have tons and tons of plushies.
Okay, I dropped out of that call for a moment. I just want to make sure that I was the only one.
Yeah, I think you were.
Okay, all right, Bryan. There's gonna be a gap in my recording for Kat's answer, for that question. But if you didn't drop out, then you should have gotten everything she said, so we should be fine. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about all the time I'm gonna have to edit.
All right.
Continue.
Okay. Well, for me, I collect figures, but that's because I decorate my house with them. Because I'm an irredeemable nerd. The ones I've been collecting regularly lately have actually been the Funko My Little Pony vinyl statues, the real big ones. Which when the Princess Twilight Sparkle one came out, my God, Amazon was like spamming me with ads everywhere I went online. Buy Princess Twilight Sparkle, and I was just like, okay, fine, if it'll get you to shut up, I'll buy it. And I'm going to Hot Topic and buying it because I'm gonna do it to spite you, and because I don't want to pay $5 for shipping. But no, I decorate my room with like Transformers figures. I've got a lot of video game statues. I prefer personally, when I buy figures, to get them posable. Although I'll buy sculpted if there's no better alternative. And I've got a few. I've got so many I can't even display them all in my tiny little apartment. Most of them are actually in storage. I've only got like the best of the best out on my dresser. So I've got maybe like 24 standing out on my dresser. So yeah, but let's see what you guys collect. So Bryan, did you find any answers that stood out to you?
Yeah, Phil Grady, he basically is kind of like me. He'll just sort of collect anything, toys, plushies, figurines, posable, sculpted, Lego, working replicas, like pocket watches. That's cool. Like getting like working replicas of old technology.
You mean like a working pocket watch made out of Legos?
Well, not necessarily working. He says working replicas, i.e., pocket watches.
Like a Full Metal Alchemist pocket watch or something.
Something like that. Something like, or even something like I'm assuming he means like old technology that is has been replicated out and works again.
Oh, okay.
Maybe like that. That's kind of why I picked this one out, because that one stood out. Because like I said, that sounds really cool. With all his jewelry, T-shirts, goddamn anything. Good use of the word "goddamn" there. Though he does try to keep it in moderation. I wish I could.
Let's see. I like this one here from Claire. She says she buys badges, key rings, and here's what stood out to me: stationery.
Stationery.
Yeah. Does that mean she goes to like businesses and stuff and just gets like, hey, could I have a piece of your letterhead?
No, well, like I don't know about what she's talking about specifically, but like a lot of anime have like stationery with anime characters on them.
Okay. All right. I could see that. I guess.
You can get like folders and all kinds of shit.
Oh, like a Sailor Moon Trapper Keeper.
I actually have a Sailor Moon pencil case that it really makes me think of a Trapper Keeper.
Okay. Did you find any that particularly stood out to you, Kat?
Jake says that I usually collect figures as well as buttons to stick on my messenger bag and stickers to put on my computer case. And while I wouldn't stick anything on my computer case, I actually have the same habit of getting buttons to stick on a messenger bag until I started losing them, like at alarming rates. And some of them were like really hard to get, like some of them like from the artist alley. I don't care if I lose them because I'll usually see that artist again, but I had quite a lot of like imported ones that I was like, oh, I don't want to lose these. These are too nice. And so now they just sort of sit in the drawer, and that's not really productive, but they're safe.
You need to get one of those like lapels in a frame. It's just like basically a cloth thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just put up a frame and just pin the pins to them.
I have a giant pile of pins and buttons off to the side that I just have. I have my San Diego Comic-Con like badge and the strap, and I got a bunch of buttons on them. And at one point, I had some on one of my carrying cases, and then I came home and like 3 were missing. I was like, uh-oh, because I don't know where they went.
Man, you know how we're talking about things that amplify the 90s? You know what I still got? You know what I still have a 3-foot tube full of? Fucking Pogs.
I was back as a Pog.
What?
That's an old Simpsons joke.
Yeah, but I've got like this 3-foot long tube full of Pogs, and then like a Ziploc bag full of Slammers. And then I got one Slammer. I've got this like, and I swear to God, this exists. Google it and you'll see it. It's a gold-plated Mortal Kombat limited edition Slammer. It's a basically the MK Dragon logo encircled by a gold-plated ring. I think it's like 18 karat gold-plated. My mom got it for me somewhere. I don't know where, but I swear to God, this thing exists. Google it and you'll see it. But it's fucking beast, and I still have that in its original package to this day. So, but okay. Let's see. Is this Leia? No, this is Tiffany. Another Tiffany answer. She writes that she collects DVDs, posters, plushies, and figurines, but that most of her figurines are minis or sculpted anime or video game characters. So I wonder if she says minis. Do you think she means like the little blind bag ones that you get? It's just like a box and you get like a random figure in each one, which I fucking hate because I can never get the one I want.
No one can get the one they want. It could be anything. I see these online every so often, these Power Ranger figures, perfectly sculpted, and they're posable, and they're like $40 each. It's like, God, if I was rich.
The ones that really drove me up the wall were the Full Metal Alchemist ones back when the 2005 anime was really popular. I really wanted a Lust figure, but literally every single time I bought one of those blind boxes, I always got Winry Rockbell. Always. I've got like a dozen Winrys. I was like,
Lego does the blind boxes too, and that's why I have 2 Shakespeare's and 2 Wild Childs.
Wild Styles. Oh, yeah,
Wild
that's
Styles,
right.
yeah.
Lego started doing that for the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about that. Are they actual like Lego minifigs that like you could take apart, or are they like just special limited statues?
No, they're minifigs you can take apart.
Okay, cool. All right. Kat, did you find any other answers that you really liked?
Oh, yeah. Tim says, I'm a big collector of the Disney trading pins that you can buy at the Disney parks. Disney is my biggest passion, and I like having these pins as the heart. God, I can't even read this guy's answer. Disney is my biggest passion, and I like having these pins as the heart is a lot of. This is actually not good grammar at all. As the heart is a lot of fun to look at. I guess there's a heart on the pin. I currently have over 63 of these pins across 3 lanyards. And this is actually like a weird thing, but I collect the Hard Rock Cafe pins. Just randomly, I've just been to so many Hard Rock Cafes, and so I collect guitar pins. And this is kind of similar. I don't have them on a lanyard or anything. They're, again, sitting in a drawer until I find like something good to mount them on, but I totally get it. I totally get it.
You know, Penny Arcade has started doing something like that. At like PAX, they call it. I'm not making this up. Penny Arcade, and they sell like pins like on their shop website or given away at cons, and it's you gotta think the guy who first came up with that for Disney I mean, he's got to have like more money than God at this point for having come up with that idea. I mean, that is just the most genius thing I have ever seen. It's like I remember the only year I ever went to Disney World. That was the year they started doing that, and they were all over the fucking place. I'm telling you. Like, I think I still have a few. Like, I know I've got the Star Tours one, and I've got a Buzz Lightyear, and I think I have a Stitch laying around somewhere. I can't recall. God, this is years ago, but that was a fucking genius idea, man. Bryan, any other answers that you've come across that you particularly liked?
I mean, everyone seems to have a lot of the same sort of, yes, we do collect stuff, because that's what we are. We are nerds. We like collecting things we like. So I think all the answers were great in this one.
You couldn't find another one, could you?
Nope.
I mean, a lot of the answers were all kind of like, yeah, I collect these figurines and these figurines. Like, okay, awesome. We all collect figurines and DVDs because we're nerds.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah, there are a lot of the same answers here, and a lot of people left the second part unanswered though, whether you preferred posable or sculpted figurines. So, but yeah, no, yeah, a lot of the answers are the same on this one. So, yeah, but that is all the questions that we have for this edition of Ask a Geek Audience Participation Edition. I can tell you, we had a lot of fun doing this. We loved hearing from you guys, and I don't know, what do you guys think? You think this is a success? You think this is something we might do again?
Yes, this was a lot of fun.
Woot woot.
All right, yeah.
I mean, yes.
So, yeah, maybe we'll do this again. So, tell you what, keep an eye on the Facebook and on our YouTube feeds. And if we decide to do this again, those will be the places to check and let you know what the questions will be and when we'll be doing it. So, yeah, but that's all the time we have for Nerd of the Third Party this week. Bryan, what are we doing next week?
Next week, we are going to be celebrating Batman's 75th anniversary. Have a big birthday bash with talking about all sorts of Batman things.
Yes. Happy birthday, Batman. So, yes, next week, Batman's 75th birthday party. So, yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll see you there. We'll see you next week. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. As always, I'm Dr. Gonzo.
I'm the cat.
I'm Bryan.
And we'll see you next week. Taka, play us out.